Thank you, Dr. Sumner, for joining us again for the preschool to prison pipeline. Before we get started, if you would just share something briefly about yourself.
Okay, sure. My name is Dr. Sonia Sumner. I have been in early childhood education for 20, well, no, actually 30 something years, but I've been a regional behavior coach for like 20 years. I've also, I taught at a university as an adjunct professor and also at a community college, and it was all early childhood classes. And I worked in the field as a floater. I started off as a floater and I worked my way up through Head Start as a family service worker. And then, like I said, I spent the last couple of years doing the coaching for teachers across North Carolina. So,
Okay, thank you so much for that introduction. So let us just get started. The first
okay.
question is, how do you define preschool to prison pipeline?
Okay. Well, I first want to say this is really an important topic. And sometimes it really gets swept under the rug
Mhm.
because it's a lot of really sensitive things that we do need to talk about that a lot of people do not want to address. So I appreciate you bringing this topic up. So let me go back a little bit, just a history of how preschool to prison pipeline really got its name. So in the 80s, under the Reagan administration, zero tolerance policies came
Mhm.
about to curtail, the behaviors that was happening in the schools. And so children were being suspended for sometimes minor infractions, but it was considered bad behavior and they were getting kicked out and suspended. So that kind of trickled down to preschool. And a lot of research says that, Black boys
Mhm.
and Black children, boys in general, and then children with disabilities, they have a higher rates of suspension than anyone else, but especially Black boys. And so if a child is being kicked out, let's say, I'm going to say at the age of 1, in preschool. And then by the time he's 5 years old and he's going to public school and that continues, that's a risk for being in the criminal justice system.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's pretty much how it got its name.
Okay, thank you.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
As a follow-up to that question,
Mhm.
what role must educators take to address and to dismantle the pipeline?
Yeah, so that's a deep one because what we really do want to try to
Hmm.
dismantle it, but it's going to take a lot of training and professional development. I feel like educators, and I
Hmm.
guess I'm gonna say child care administrators and directors should partner with external agencies like child care resource and
Hmm.
referrals. They have Smart Start agencies and any agency that is for like child development and the children's well-being. I think
Hmm.
when they start to partner with those types of agencies, they can get the training and the professional development that they need. Also, they would have access to sometimes they call them infant and early childhood mental health consultants, and they will come into the classroom and they will help the teachers or the educators implement strategies
Hmm.
that will, that will help with the challenging behaviors, like
Hmm.
maybe teach them like self-regulation, how to teach that
Hmm.
self-regulation skills, how to problem solve, and then
Hmm.
just be that support for them for teachers that don't know, how
Sure,
to deal with the behavior.
sure, sure, sure. Just to follow up, so what about centering implicit bias
Mm-hmm.
in this discussion as relates to the preschool to prison
Mm.
pipeline?
Mm-hmm. About implicit bias. Okay. Well, Um, I know implicit bias it could be a broad term, and I know when we're
Hmm.
talking about the preschool to prison pipeline,
Sure.
I'm gonna say implicit racial bias.
Oh,
I'm gonna
okay.
say that,
Say
yeah,
that.
because I think that, like I said before, this topic is really sensitive, and a lot of people do not want to address it, but it's something that needs to be addressed. When you're
Sure,
talking
sure.
about early childhood, yeah, we need to talk about the detriments of suspension and expulsion, and it stems from implicit racial bias. Sometimes the microaggressions, the macroaggressions, the things that are happening in the classroom
Hmm.
against our small children.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yes.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm.
yes.
Okay, so along that same line,
Hmm.
so do what degree are challenging behaviors
Hmm.
dependent on race, sex, and income, do you
Okay.
think?
All right. Can I address one thing? I need to
Sure,
go back real.
please.
Okay.
Sure.
There was this little quote that I put in here about implicit bias, and it was saying implicit bias and preconceived notions can make behavior issues seem worse, especially
Hmm.
for Black
Hmm.
boys who are often perceived as older or more
Hmm.
dangerous due to their physical appearance. And Dr. Walter Gilliam, he had talked about that. He said the three B's, the big black boy.
Hmm.
He was saying how when they look physically older, then the teacher might perceive their behaviors more dangerous or
Hmm.
more threatening. And
Hmm.
so that's a
Hmm.
big part of it too. And he was
Hmm.
saying how the studies shows that ignoring these biases will contribute to suspension and expulsion, which contributes to the preschool to prison pipeline. So the other question you asked about what degree are challenging
Hmm.
behaviors dependent upon race, sex, and income, I would say that challenging behaviors are shaped mainly by the environment. So, by
Hmm.
environmental factors like stress, trauma, poverty, and limited support. So, not so much as race or sex, but it could, a lot of parental stress plays a big impact on how children act and how they act in school and so forth. And if the teacher doesn't have the skills that they
Hmm.
need to deal with those behaviors, and what happens, they get kicked out and expelled and so on and so on.
So you mentioned the word expel. So I'm
Hmm.
going to include the word suspension
Okay.
to feed into our next question.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
So when a student is suspended, let's say race is a factor, let's just say, or
Okay.
income,
Okay.
and another student exhibit that same behavior
Hmm.
and that same by the same teacher,
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
results might be different.
Hmm.
Maybe it's a suspension, or maybe it's not. Is that unusual based on your experience?
Well, okay. So, unfortunately, and I really hate to say this, but it's not unusual. Being in the field for as long as I have been
Mm-hmm.
in the field,
Right.
um, a lot of times, well, you would see when you go into the classroom, you always went in because most of the time it was boys. And unfortunately, it was Black boys. And I remember an instance where there was a child that, he kept doing certain things and they let him go. But then the other children were doing the same thing, but they were
Mm.
of a different race. So we did have to have a discussion with the director and the teacher. And you know what you know. So I guess like with a person's upbringing and how they see things and their stereotypes and their biases and things of that sort, it plays a big part. And it even when the teacher didn't feel like that's what it was,
Hmm.
that her words, that's what it was. So you do see that a lot, and that's why I think it's really important that we address this through training and professional development. There's no other way that you're going to dismantle that unless you talk about it and you find solutions and ways to, help the teacher with that.
So, based on your experience, how receptive have teachers been, when you call things out?
Mm-hmm. Well, I think first and foremost, you have to have a relationship with the
Sure.
teacher. Yeah. So um, I guess I can say that I have pretty good relationships where I can, not necessarily accuse anybody and say,
Sure.
this is what I see, but what's behind it? Why do you feel the way you
That's
feel
good.
about that, yeah, particular child?
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
then when they start talking about why they feel the way that they feel, sometimes if I catch key words, then I could say, well, okay, well, that's like a preconceived notion of this child, how he is, or that is something that that's on TV, right? That's not really how it is with everybody of that particular race. So sometimes, I could talk to them that way.
What you say, don't believe everything you see on TV and paint it to the general population.
Right. And in social
Right,
media.
right,
Absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
That's good. That's
Yes.
good.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's good. Now, to add on,
Mm-hmm.
I have done some reading, and what I have
Uh-huh.
read
Mm-hmm.
is that preschoolers are several times more likely to be suspended, black preschoolers that is, than their
Mm-hmm.
white
Uh-huh. Right.
preschoolers.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I don't know if that was surprising, but I did read it.
Mm-hmm.
Thoughts?
Mm-hmm. Well, unfortunately, once again, that is true. And I have a little blurb here to read about that. It says research says suspension rates are higher among 4-year olds, Black children, boys of all races, newcomers to childcare, and children with developmental delays or disabilities, and children from disadvantaged backgrounds, those who have faced adversity and
Hmm.
those with lower social emotional skills also face increased punitive discipline. Although suspension and expulsion can affect any child, Black boys
Hmm.
are suspended more frequently and more often than other children, and they have less access to high quality education, and so they can't get the skills and that they need, and so it just continues to be like a rolling snowball, until it explodes.
Hmm.
So that's why I decided my study that I
Hmm.
and for my dissertation that I wrote, it was early childhood educators training and support for addressing challenging behaviors of students, because I just wanted to delve a little bit more into it and see why it's really happening. And so I found a lot of information. And like I said, yeah, it's true that, unfortunately our children, Black children, are kicked out at higher rates.
So are you hopeful that that the field will sufficiently address, eradicate, dismantle,
Hmm.
weaken the preschool, the prison pipeline from
Hmm.
from the educator side?
Hmm.
Where's
Well,
your
I'm
hope?
always I'm always hopeful.
Right, right, right.
I'm always hopeful. I think it takes people educating themselves and putting yourself in a position where you
Mhm.
can make that happen.
Sure, sure.
Yes, and also
Hmm.
just being a support system for teachers. Like I said earlier, you only know what you know. And if you don't know it, then you're going to continue to do the same thing over and over again. So my goal is to hopefully one day to make sure that teachers understand the detriments of suspension and expulsion and what it does to children, um,
Hmm.
all the negative outcomes
Sure.
as they get older.
Hmm. Now, this question feeds into our ongoing conversation. It's just an
Mhm.
add-on, actually.
Yeah. Okay.
So, how then should educators respond to
Okay.
challenge behavior in younger children? Now, you touched on that some already, but I want to have
Uh-huh.
more of a
Okay.
conversation on the response from
Okay.
teachers.
Okay. So I would say if the educator was, let's say she was trained and they had the external agencies that were in place to come in, maybe the mental health consultants, then the teachers should react calmly and they should be assertive and they should be nurturing because those will be the skills that they will learn how to work with a child. And when they see a behavior that's happening, let's just say two children are hitting or they're not
Mm-hmm.
sharing a toy, and so they
Mm-hmm.
start to hit, they should be able to go over to the child that's hurt and then check on that child first and then go to the other child and say, now you need to be accountable for what happened. Let's help this child that's
Mm-hmm.
hurting. Let's fix this. And then also like give them some help them with the social emotional
Sure.
skills like
Mm-hmm.
what can we do? Can we share? Can we take turns? What can we do together so that we can play together and not hurt each
Mm-hmm.
other? And this also helps the child to think for himself or herself.
Mm-hmm.
And so
Mm-hmm.
that's what should happen if the teacher or the educator is well trained. On the other hand, if they're not, this is why you see what you see with children being kicked out of early care.
Okay. Now, something you said earlier, I want to
Mm-hmm.
revisit
Okay.
that because it came back
Mm-hmm.
to me. So, how might trauma, stress, or unmet needs outside of the school
Mm-hmm.
influence a child's behavior in the classroom?
Wow. Yeah, it would affect it a lot. I would say, I don't know if you ever heard of, it's called the ACEs, is the Adverse
Mm-hmm.
Childhood. Okay. Yeah. So like when children, when they experience trauma and abuse, parental incarceration, poverty, things like that, and when they go to school and they don't have the verbal skills or social emotional skills, they're going to act out to what's happening in their environment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And for an untrained educator, that stress that they're going through looks like a defiant behavior. So it doesn't, they can't, tell the difference between the two. But that happens with children. They don't know if they don't have the verbal skills and they're not, they don't have the social emotional skills. Then of course they're going to do things to get attention or to say I'm hurting
Sure.
or yeah, I need attention.
Sure.
So that's what
So,
happens.
yeah. So, what more can we do? The community
Mm-hmm.
do, parents,
Mm-hmm.
cousins, aunts,
Mm-hmm.
and uncles do to address the preschool to prison pipeline? What more can we
Hmm.
do? You are the
Hmm.
expert, so tell us.
Yes, yeah, sure. Well, I always believe in this saying, it takes a village. And I believe that we should have more parent trainings. We should come together as a community, especially those like ourselves that, where we're in positions where we can hold some meetings and we can educate teachers
Hmm.
and plus not only focus on um, this one particular thing but the stress that teachers go through as well because a lot of them are underpaid,
Hmm.
they don't have insurance. I mean
Hmm.
and yeah, and so
Hmm.
if you think about someone making $7, $8, or $9 in this economy right now, it's hard. I mean, it's unimaginable, but it happens. And so if the teacher is stressed and she's not trained, then she's going to take out stuff on the child. And it's just going to be like a power struggle. And what's going to happen? The child would eventually, they will ask the director to get him out the class or whatever. And sometimes that happens. And so I think as a community, we need to come together more. We need to talk about the hard things
Hmm.
that people like to sweep under the rug. We
Sure.
need to talk about like the detriments of it and what it does. And there's no way to look around it. Black boys are suspended more. And we got to look at the why. Why is this happening? and what can we do about it? You can't turn a blind eye to that. It's happening more and more.
Right, right. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
So is this anything you need to say that we haven't talked about that you think would be for the good of all?
Hmm. Well, let me think. That's a good question. I guess I would say that I'm when I'm talking about educators, in no way am I bashing anyone because I know about the stress that they go through. Sometimes the classroom ratios are very high for them. Um, the pay, the demands that they have to meet with little or no support sometimes. And so it's kind of understandable if you don't know um, what happens to children when you're kicking them out at 1, 2, and 3. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. You don't know what's going to happen to them. So we have to be the ones, I feel, those that are educating themselves in the field to go in and help them, let them know that they're valuable as well. If we didn't have early educators, I mean, what would be happening right now? A lot of children would be like on the wayside. They'd be thrown to the wayside because, um, parents have to work. And some parents, it's both parents have to work, and you just don't know what's going on in their environment. So I would just say, be a support system and make sure to get the training and the professional development that they need.
Uh, Perhaps Dr. Sumner may need to put on a drive-by mini conference, a summit with some other people in the field to do some
Absolutely.
work in the community.
Oh, yes,
That would
absolutely. I
be
would love that.
that would be that'd be great.
Yeah, right down my alley. So yes, I would love
Yes, that would be great.
it. Yeah, yeah.
So I don't want to hold you. This was a rich discussion. I have really enjoyed the series Preschool to Prison Pipeline.
Mm-hmm.
And I always learn a little more as we talk. And I
Mm-hmm.
thank you once again for being part of the series. And I
Absolutely.
will be in contact. Thank you so much.
Well, thank you too, Dr. Bill. I enjoyed it.
Sure.
Okay. All right. Have a good night.